Howdy, howdy, folks. Darth Alpha here with another episode of Kerbal Space Program Interstellar tutorials. So we're doing a bit of a soft reset here. We're going to be doing a new save, and we're going to be going through the tech tree in science mode. Now, before we start, I have edited our starting science amount, 4,100 to be precise. This allows me to unlock all of the early game tech. I don't enjoy the super early stuff, and this is a tutorial. We're meant to show off all of the high-tech interstellar stuff, and we just can't do that quickly enough anyway if we start all the way back at the beginning. So we are unlocking everything that is 160 science or less, plus the nuclear propulsion. That will give us plenty of tech in order to be able to go to other star systems, go to other planets. The idea here being that Minmus and the Mun and all over Kerbin have been scienced out, and we need to go out further. We're also playing on science mode, so it's assumed that money is not a problem. I assume that we have some sort of like mining setup on the moon that keeps our space program supplied. Now, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get some of our infrastructure set up. We are playing with Kerbal Space Transport Systems, which is a lovely little mod, very well documented, has a wonderful little help page. These are some of the rockets that I have for my infrastructure. This is a 20-ton lifter. It will bring a craft that weighs 20 tons or less out to, I believe it was 1 megameter, 1,000 kilometers. This is our 20-ton transport. So this will bring 20 tons worth of fuel, of cargo, things that will fit inside tanks. It would also allow us to perform space construction, as we will see here in just a little bit. It has just a little extra fuel in that first stage to help get things moving, but otherwise it's pretty much identical. This will be our assembly station. It is under 20 tons, so it can be lifted in a single go, which is good. And then from this point, it will be staffed with Kerbals to build. The docking ports we're using are the standard Clampetrons from the base game. You can see here we have plenty of space for extra people. We are playing on science mode, so everyone's max skill and free to hire. This is a ComSat. We are pretty much skipping this in the video, but in the background I am establishing a comm network. I put these guys in geosynchronous orbit, or I guess kerbosynchronous orbit, about 120 degrees apart from each other. If you want a tutorial on that, you're going to have to look elsewhere. That's not something I'm comfortable teaching. But here, here is the main star of the show today. This is the Eve Express. Our first mission, because we've already, air quote, scienced out all of our nearby moons, is we're going to Eve. So this guy will take us to Eve. We got a lab, we got a science suite with all of our experiments available. And once we get back into Kerbin orbit, the idea is that we will take our scientists and pilot and put them in that command capsule, go suborbital, and land from there. So, got ourselves a good little bit of Delta V there, at just under 10K. That'll be more than enough to get to Eve and back. Alrighty. So, we are going to start launching these guys here. Once again, if I'm going too quickly, or if you're not following exactly what I'm doing, that little help tab, one over from the right, just give that a read. It's super, super obvious. There are some limitations, as we'll see every once in a while here in this video. But overall, it's a good little system. I'm pretty happy with this mod. It doesn't involve like crazy production chains or anything. Just nice and simple. So we're setting our altitude to 500 kilometers. If I end up saying something stupid like 500,000 kilometers or something like that, it's probably me just messing up. If you catch it and there isn't already a comment, making any small corrections to little things I say, if you could either message me or send me you could just post a comment and I'll try and pin it. Okay, so this is our assembly station. We did manage to get it set up right at 500,000 meters. You do have to focus your view on, or I guess you have to fly the ship in order for KSTS to register it is a valid target for refueling and construction, which is what we're doing here. We're just making sure the solar panels and stuff are up. And we are now going to construct. We're going to build the Eve Express. You can see we have enough engineers there. And it'll only take a few trips with that 20-ton transport. So each engineer adds 10 tons to the build capacity. That is 10 tons of dry mass, so fuel does not count. So 8 engineers, that's 80,000, 80 tons that we can build, which is plenty. And we put a scientist on board, so it will build quicker. All right, so now we are time accelerating our way towards that being done. I believe it was going to take about 9 days. There we go. Now we need to go ahead and visit the Eve Express because my transports did not have the option to carry crew. I have quickly thrown together one that is designed to carry pretty much just crew, maybe like a ton of monopropellant. But yeah, so we need to visit this in order to make it a valid target for resupply. KSTS, one of its limitations is it does delete your staging. So if you have something like this, like I have asparagus staging here, it does make it so that that does not work properly. Okay, so now we've gotten our people sent to the station. We've popped back into it, and we are gonna start our burn here. So we're gonna set Eve as our target. We're using MechJeb almost exclusively in the series, just because it's what I'm familiar with. It's what I'm comfortable with. I could try and do it manually, but it'd be painful. One trick I am using here, because MechJeb will totally just burn you into the atmosphere if you're not careful. I am raising my orbit so that my orbital period is longer, so that a 16-minute burn, instead of being like 25% of my orbital time, it will instead be about an eighth. That means that you will be burning more towards your periapsis, and you will not drop into the atmosphere of Kerbin. Done that a few times. If your burn time is 2 hours, your orbital period is 1 hour, it's just not going to work. Unless your drive is absurdly powerful, which sometimes it is in the late game. Alrighty. So, we are going to circularize. This orbital period ends up being around 2 hours. Let's talk about the Nerva, what changes they've made. So in the base game, it only runs on liquid fuel, which is, not too bad. I am running on liquid fuel as well on this. However, in KSP Interstellar, typically what you'll want to do, unless you're going to be trying to land on a planet or do something very specific, typically the fuel source you will want to use is hydrogen. Hydrogen is the easiest to ISRU, especially around Joule. There's just metric tons of that stuff floating around in the vacuum. Whereas liquid fuel, you have to be landed on the surface and mining ore in order to refuel. But that doesn't matter on this one because we are not going anywhere near a surface, and we have plenty to begin with. Let's see. So Interstellar also makes it so that it can change which fuel it uses. I believe it is stuff like nitrogen. It might be carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide. Really simple stuff. It doesn't burn things chemically, obviously. And they all have their different pluses and minuses, strengths and weaknesses, but for the most part, hydrogen is what you want to use. It's the most efficient, and it's reasonable enough in its burn time, and nothing else is miles ahead of it. Which it just makes it so good. It's so good in one category that it outweighs any benefits anything else has. Alrighty, so we're gonna skip through this burn here. Or not. See, I'm trying this video editing for the first time, and I am post-recording my voice. Yeah. I'm making these changes because of some feedback I received. I realize now an hour of me rambling for, 5 minutes of usable information, probably not the best idea. So by making these guys a little under 15 minutes, hopefully, this will be more approachable, more condensed, and force me to stop rambling as much. Let's see. But yeah, so the Nerva engine, what it is it's a nuclear reactor that is not too uncommon to what we have today, and you pass your fuel over it, and that fuel heats up to pretty much the temperature of the reactor and is expelled out the back. It's the most efficient engine in the base game, and in terms of Interstellar, it's the first one. It's the lowest tier, the lowest it goes. There are other fission reactors that are going to be much more efficient, but for now, this is what we have. And then obviously there's stuff like the Daedalus engine, which is a fusion drive, and we'll get there when we get there. Okay, so our burn's finished up. We are going to make a burn, a very small one, to change our closest encounter. We're going to be making sure that we come in on the right side of the planet. So I'm using MechJeb for that again. One thing to note about this engine, it has a long spool up and spool down time. It takes about, probably around 7 seconds, maybe a little bit less, but not much less, for the engine to get to full power and to cool down, to go down to 0 power. That's a large amount of time, and KSP Interstellar adds the ability to thrust through time warp. If you time accelerate when that engine is not fully cooled down, you will time accelerate with that acceleration, and it won't continue to turn off. That can cause some big problems if you're, doing these really fine encounters. So it's important to quick save a lot and to get into the habit of waiting for that engine to fully cool down, because boy, is that annoying if you don't. Anyhoozle, we are going to wrap it up here for today. You don't want to see me do all this science. It's just fast forward, transmit science, fast forward, transmit science. It gets boring real quick. What we will start with next episode is me unlocking some of our new science, because we do unlock, I think it's around 2,000 or so science that we get on our way to Eve. And once we get to Eve, we farm as much science as we can, and we got a lot. I think it's like 10,000, which is enough to almost completely fill the base game tree, but it's only going to get us like 7 or 8 of our high-tech nodes. Alrighty. Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up there. If you guys don't mind leaving a comment or a like, or if you want to subscribe, you can. I can't guarantee I'll upload with any frequency. This is a pretty new system to me. I've never done any video editing before, but yeah. Hope you guys have a good one. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.